Kim, why don't you follow me on YouTube yet?
Okay. Yeah, Kim.
What the fuck?
Kim!
Yeah.
You're such a bad friend.
Kim!
This is why I don't invite you to my shit.
Easy to follow Craig, Kim.
I don't watch YouTube. So.
Alright. Hope y'all don't mind my fucking backyard, because it seems to be the #1 place for me to record right now. So, we're just gonna jump into it. As aforementioned, I'm manic. Woo! And that's, you know, just a part of my life. Been living with it for the majority of my life. I've been looking at some of the symptoms of manic, and one of them is dissociating. And I have quite a few friends that are trans. In fact, I have a few friends that have DID, and their dissociation is completely different than anything that I've experienced. That's not saying that there haven't been times where my roommates have walked downstairs and seen me just like staring off into the middle of nowhere, and I'm just kind of zoned out, and I don't personally remember doing that. I'll just be like standing in the middle of the room and looking off into blank space, completely lost in a completely separate world, and I don't feel attached to this world. That's not exactly what dissociating is either. At least not from what's been explained to me. Now, I'm not a fucking therapist. I don't have a degree or anything like that. I'm purely talking off of experience of myself and others that I've spoken with. But for the most part, the fact that I don't even recognize that it's happening doesn't really match up with like the dissociation that my trans friends have gone through. But it does sometimes correlate with the dissociation of someone that has DID or multiple personalities. Even then, with the proper therapy or the work that you can put in, having a multiple personality doesn't necessarily mean that you don't remember anything. Most of the time you can create a system with your other personalities, and through that you can create a system with them and slowly start to recoup anything that happened when you weren't you. And I will say right now, I fully think that if you have DID, it is multiple people existing within the same body. I don't think that it's just this thing where you're just choosing not to remember. I don't think it is, in fact, a choice. I think that if you have DID, you probably went through some traumatic experience, but because of that, now you do have multiple people that just coexist, for better or for worse. But that's not the main thing that I wanted to talk about. It's just kind of an introduction to what I go through. So I don't can't remember the word. Okay, so I don't dissociate necessarily, but what I do is I regress. And regression is basically going to a lesser form. That's like the actual definition. But I fall into a former self of myself, or I start doing things that a younger me would have done. And what's causing this entire video is I started playing old school RuneScape. Not on mobile. I'm not trying to fucking sponsor myself or anything like that. Just I downloaded RuneScape onto my computer and I started playing, and it brought back like this influx of memories from when I was in like middle school and I was playing RuneScape all the time. I was an introvert. I didn't really get along with a lot of people that I went to school with, so I just started playing the one thing that was free and a lot of people were on, so I could chat with them instead, and it was a good time. Now that I'm playing it again, it's not as sociable if you're not a member, even if you are, from what I hear, there's a lot of bots and stuff. But it definitely made me start thinking about like some of my current regressions that I've had to start to acknowledge. As is obvious, I have some decently long hair. There we go. Yeah. I started growing it out about, I want to say 2 years ago now. I don't know. Whenever my last relationship ended. Fun times. But I was like, all right, let's fucking chop my hair off, because I had dyed it and it was starting to get pretty grody. And I chopped it off, and then I just started growing it out. And I broke up with the girl. Well, she broke up with me, in a sense. We're not going to get into that right now. But I went through a breakup about 2 weeks later. And that was like the sign for me to just be like, all right, fuck it. Like, you liked who you used to be, so just fucking do it again. And it's weird to say that, like, growing your hair out, if you did it when you were younger, is going to bring you back to like some sense of who you were at that time. But I did it anyways, and I don't regret it. And there have been a few other things, like since I started doing that, now I'm a little bit more back to like my witty remarks when I'm with my friends. I try to fuck around more. I started just participating in things that I wouldn't have just a few weeks prior, and it's been good and bad. And that's kind of the thing with a regression. Technically, like by definition, you are resorting back to a former or a lesser self. And by lesser, what they really mean is you're less evolved, you're less mature, yada yada yada. And I'm honestly fucking okay with that. It has its downsides, but overall, like, I was a much happier person back in the day. So, why wouldn't I decide to continue doing that? It's that simple. I had a point to all of this, but I think I honestly just wanted to rant about what I'm currently doing, and like downloading that and playing it for far too long just kind of made me start thinking about some other choices that I've made in my life. And that was kind of a weird acknowledgement of myself. Normally I just kind of do shit and then I'm okay with it and I don't put too much thought into it, because the more I think about anything, the more I'm just like, oh, this is a terrible idea. But I'm actually okay with what I've been doing. On top of that, I've also started reading books that, like, I started the series and then I got like a few books in and just like stopped. One of them being Richard Kadri's Sandman Slim series. Got about 5 or 6 books into that and then just stopped, mainly because I didn't have money, but also like I just kind of had no interest anymore in that kind of world. And I stopped reading for the most part altogether because fantasy didn't apply to my interest, which is weird because it's been a driving force my entire life. That's kind of a throwback to a few videos ago, or maybe one video ago, I don't fucking know anymore. Just a video of me talking about how I was raised by media. I may not have even brought that up in a previous video, so we're just gonna go with it. And if I haven't, I'm sure that I or my editor will bring that up and we'll fucking make a whole video about my bringing up and how my parents didn't love me. Yay! But it's one of those things where, that's where I was going with this. So, mental disorders, manic depression, bipolar, anxiety, things like that. Everyone reacts differently. And I want to specify that I'm not including trans into that. I don't think that is a mental disorder. Because that's just, if that's the way that you are, that's the way that you are. We could argue day and night about like, oh, it's a chemical imbalance, yada yada yada. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. being you is not something that you should be ashamed of. That's why I was given the opportunity to start taking medication to treat my manic, and instead I decided not to. There's nothing wrong with taking medication. My sister does, and a few other people in my life have gone down that route, and they're better off for it. That's amazing. I'm extremely happy for them. But I thought about it for myself, and I made my own decision, just like anyone else can. If you decide to do something, then you either stick to it, or you put more thought into it and decide that you don't want to do that. There's no wrong answer when it comes to treatment, as long as you are still seeking treatment. And I think that's something that should be more accessible. All these posts about, like, you know, just go work out or exercise or take a walk or shit like that. It helps some people, yes, but it's not a cure-all. I've been diagnosed for 4 years now, and I've been dealing with it since I was in, like, fucking preschool or elementary school or something. So it's been a part of my life for an extremely long time. But it took so long for me to be diagnosed that I was able to kind of cope with it for a while, and I decided I don't want to take medication. That's not meaning that down the road, if I start spiraling down more and more often, I'm not going to seek out that help. But therapy helped me for a while. And also me just learning things about myself and taking the steps that I felt were required for me to be okay. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with not being able to do that, or choosing not to do that. I feel like anyone is able to, but to certain degrees. So therapy is amazing, but it again is not a cure-all. Just like some people, they can take the medication and it still doesn't fix everything. Nothing is a 100% fix. It's just how you take it and how you administer it into your life, whether it be seeing someone once a week or twice a month or what have you, and talking things out, whether it's going down the path of hypnosis, or taking medicine, or fucking any of that. You find out what works for you, and then you do that. And I luckily found out what worked for me. And yeah, I've gone through some pretty bad down points in the very recent past. Hence the reason that I ever made a YouTube, whatever. But even then, some good came out of it, because I knew how to handle when I was going through that. Normally, I would just sit down and I would write to myself, and I wouldn't put too much thought into it. Luckily, this time I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's just fucking throw it to the world. And there are even people in my life now who never truly understood what I was going through, because I'm very much so closed off when it comes to my own issues. I'd much rather just help someone else with theirs than bring up what's going on in my life and the problems that I'm having personally. Which is weird. I'm probably the most open person you'll meet, except for the fact that the second that I need help is when I'm closed off and I don't want any help. So everyone that I know knows that I have mental issues, but they don't know to what extremity or anything like that. Extremity, is that the right word? No, just to what extreme. We're gonna go with that. So yeah, fucking RuneScape, old school RuneScape, has brought up this weird little conversation with myself, and hopefully with viewers if you guys want to participate. It was just a little thing that was affecting me at the moment, and I felt like it was helpful to just kind of get out there. Hopefully this week, I think, I'm making the little wall for spray painting, so me and at least one of my roommates, we're going to be practicing some graffiti and being degenerates and whatever. I don't give a fuck. It's art, and that's what we want to do. We just want to express ourselves in a new medium, and this is something that's accessible to us right now, so we're going to do it. So I will hopefully record myself doing that. We'll see, because I'm also lazy as hell, and if I'm not just drinking in my backyard, I don't want to record, I guess. But I'll try to get some snippets. I got some snippets of us playing beer pong that might be at the beginning of this video, at the end, I don't know, or we might just like use it for stock sometime down the line. But it was a fair week, and although work wasn't the best and some other things happened to me that could have caused a further downward spike, I got through it, and I'm still getting through it. I'm still not at like even 60%, but I'm doing all right, and I'm trying to get through it. And obviously I'm doing weird shit like regressing into my childhood experiences, and that's that. And I'm perfectly okay with what I've started doing because it's not affecting my day-to-day life. I'm saying that while it's sometime in the morning. I want to say like 2 or something, but I don't work tomorrow, so I don't give a fuck. I think that's it. This went on longer than I honestly thought it was going to anyways. I really just wanted to talk about how I'm reacting to something that everyone else is in my own way, and just like I'm reacting it to my own way, everyone else has their own way of dealing with it. So I don't dissociate, I regress, yada yada yada, who fucking cares? I just wanted to get some thought into things, and hopefully if someone comes across this and they have a friend or loved one or what have you that's going through the same thing, they understand that you can do as much research as you want. It doesn't change the fact that everyone's going to go through it in their own way. It's not going to help, really, but at least you can fucking say, I don't know what you're going through, but hopefully I can still help you. And that's all that really any of us want. Like, you don't have to understand us, just be there. And not just for the good times, but for the bad times. And that's the best thing anyone can do for anyone. If I'm having a terrible time, be like, hey, I'm gonna come over and just share space with you. You don't have to talk to me. You don't have to fucking cook for me. You don't have to help me do anything. Just be in the same area, and your presence alone will probably be helpful. Just the same, if it's not, I'm at least at a point in my life that I can say, no, I don't want you to. Some others might not be. But through time and perseverance, eventually people will trust you enough to say, this is what I actually need. And even then, take it with a grain of salt. I don't give a fuck. I don't always know what I want, or I don't always know what I need. But I'm working on it, and I'm sure whoever else is in your life is working on the same thing, or you yourself are working through the same thing. So just don't be afraid to tell the people most important in your life what you need instead of what you want. And if you don't know what the answer is, give them a little, like, dog ear, right? That's what the politicians do. Yeah, give them a little dog ear. And tell them, hey, I don't know if this is going to help me right now, but come on over. We'll hang out and just be in the same room together, doing our own thing. If I get uncomfortable, I hope you understand if I say you need to go home. I've done it multiple times, and luckily, I've found a friend group that is respectful of that. If that's not you, eventually they will either respect it, or you will find others that do. That's not the best advice, but it's the advice that I'm going to give after stretching this out for another 4 minutes. Everyone deserves happiness. Everyone deserves a chance. Now I'm just preaching to a camera. But I've been extremely lucky with how my life has gone. That's not going to be the same case for everyone. So you're going to have to work a shit ton harder than I ever have. Doesn't change the fact that the result should still be the same. Eventually there will be people in your life that are willing to make the changes to be there for you, whether it means that they are there physically, or if they give you that space that's needed and they check up on you every once in a while. I had one friend where we don't talk for like a week or two straight, but at least every other day I get a message saying, "Hey man, how you doing?" That's just what they feel is okay. I don't get bothered by it, but even then they don't get offended when I don't respond, and that's a big deal for me. But also I told them what I needed and they respected it. I'm going off on a tangent again. Anyways, nothing got resolved in this video. Nothing's probably going to get resolved in any video that I ever make. But that's what I wanted to chat about. And if you guys want to chat with me, go for it. Or if you realize that maybe you need to have conversations with someone else, I encourage it. Do what you are most comfortable with. And if things go down a route that you weren't expecting, maybe contact me. I'm open to conversation. So things are getting better for me. Things will get better for everyone else, if not already. Just keep fucking going. That's the only thing you should do. Just keep going, and things will eventually either work out, or you'll experience such a sudden change that it's a whole new experience, and then what's already happening doesn't need to work out because there's something new anyways. And that's just my way of dealing with my own depression and stuff. And I don't ever want to go down the route of suicide or anything like that. So instead, I'm just going to keep saying that it either works out or it doesn't, and then something new comes along and I can make that work out instead. So I'm still rambling. I apologize. This might be edited. Probably not, because I'm trash. I love all of you. And I say that in a platonic way. Unless, like, not. But good luck with that ever working out. Especially with someone like me. So keep doing what you're doing. Get better. Or keep being good. I don't care. Just, we're all gonna get through shit. And we're all gonna go through shit. Just consider this me saying, like, it all works out eventually. Peace.